Hey TechnoStuds! In this video, we're going to subnet a Class C address again. But this time, I'll let you pause the video, work through it on your own, and then when you're ready, you can hit play and see the answers. And then after that, I'll actually step through the process of figuring out the answer to give you some guidance if you need some extra guidance. I added some grid lines to make it easier to track our work. I also formatted some of the information a little differently. You can see that we are working for 5 different networks. So there's 5 networks that we have. Here are the number of hosts that we have per network. We'll want to plan for the largest one to make sure that we can meet the needs of all of the networks. You can see that the IP address range is right here. It's a 192.168.65.0. So that's what we're given to work with. So at this point, go ahead and pause the video, work through the answer here, see what you've come up with. You can hit play, and then we'll see how close you are to the answers. And then at the end of this, I'll also go through the steps so that way you can check your work and see if you went wrong, see where you went wrong. Here are the answers. Go ahead and check your work and see how close you came to it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to step through the process of how you can figure this out in case you need a little extra direction. So let's take a look at this. As I mentioned before, we have 5 networks that we're planning for. We're planning anywhere from 2 hosts per network to 22 hosts per network. So, and we also have the 192.168.65 to work with. So first of all, what is our address class? This is a Class C. So our default subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. All right, next is bits borrowed. Well, we haven't figured that out yet. We need to plan for 5 networks. So this one wouldn't do it, this wouldn't do it, this would do it right there. So we also need a plan for 22 hosts. So that wouldn't do it, that one, and that one, but this would. So that's where we draw the line, is right between those 2. We don't really have any other options. Next, what we're going to do is let's figure it, well, we can add in that we've borrowed 3 bits, so our custom subnet mask is 255.255.255, and right here is .224, so right at the end 224. So total number of subnets here that we have is 8. We have 8 different networks that we're planning for. And usable hosts here, we have 30 usable hosts. So it's 30 usable hosts per network. All right, now we can actually figure out what do those networks look like. So the first one here, we're going to just do 0, 0, 0. And then next is 0, 0, 1. So this is where your binary counting comes into play here. 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0. Now that's all we really need a plan for because we don't have the extra networks needed. But because we have the space and because this is a learning experience, I'm going to fill in the rest of this as well. So I'm going to figure out what all of our networks are going to be. All right, next, what is the network address? Well, for this first one, we would include all zeros in here to find the network address, which would be just .0. The next one after this would be all ones. And so, this would be the broadcast. So with all ones, that would be a .31 is the broadcast there. So the usable range for this is a .1 through .30. So that's the usable address range right there. I could do the same thing for this one. The network address would be all zeros. So that's a .32 because I just have a 1 in the 32 spot, so .32. The broadcast address would be all ones. So if it's all ones, then I add all that together and that's a .63. So then the range here is anywhere from .33 through .62. So that's the usable range. Now, One way I could shortcut this is start looking for patterns. I know that this is going to go increment by 32. So I can go .32, I can do .64, I could do .96, I could do a .128, I could do a .160, do a 192, and .224. And once again, I'm just using this first part to figure all that out because the rest of them I know is going to be all 0. Once I do that, then I could just do the subtraction. I know that this range is going to end where this range picks up. So .95, .127, .159, .191, .223, and .255 is my last one. So there's all of my broadcast addresses, and then the usable range is just in between here. So .65 through .94, and .97 through .126, and .129 through .158, and .161 through .190, and .193 through .222, and finally .225 through .254. There you have it. So there's the answers. I figured out all of the answers there. And once again, if you want to know what the actual, or if you want a little cleaner way of this, writing all this out, here it is right here. So that's all of our addresses, and hopefully you did that well. And we'll also be getting into some other practices with other classes, but make sure that you get this down before you progress on, because as we go to the class B and the class A, it's going to get a little bit more difficult just because you're working with bigger numbers. It's really not any more complicated than this. It's just that you're working with bigger numbers.